Good day and welcome to our class. Today we shall discuss residue. If they say that residue, it's from the word remain. If they say that residue of a function of z at this pole or at this singularity is defined as the coefficient of this thing, this expression here or this, in Lorentz series. The coefficient of this expression in Lorentz series is called residue. If you remember the Lorentz series given as this, we know that this is the analytical part, this is the principal part. If they now say that residue is the coefficient of this one here, this is a minus 1 here, is called the residue. Also, when we integrate this Lorentz series term by term, the one that remains is Lorentz series. Now, let's show it. We recall this formula here. The Lorentz series is just the same thing here. The analytical part, it has written in this summation format, and the principal part here, I've written this, but from this place to the end, I've written it like this. That is n runs from 2 to infinity. But if you remember in the last class, we write it from n runs from 1 to infinity. But the one from 1, this is it here. That is this one. But the rest, I've written it in this summation format. Now, what we now do is that we integrate both sides with respect to dz. That simply means that I should put integral to both sides, then I'll put dz there, and that will become, so we have written them out like this. I have put integration with respect to z, integration, as you can see, I only put integration to both sides. Now, if I have done that, that means I have integrated this. Now, let us see what all this will give us. For this side, we don't need to bother ourselves. For this side, you give me 0 by Cauchy integral theorem. You know, Cauchy's theorem says that if a function is analytic, this function, you can see it has no denominator. So definitely it will be analytic at all points in the domain. And Cauchy's theorem says that if a function is analytic at all points, this function is analytic at all points, then the integration with respect to z will give me 0. So it will nullify this place. But for these two, let us recall, when we are dealing with Cauchy integral formula, I gave a formula. The formula is, you can recall the formula. So in that case, all we are going to have there will now become this. This will be 0 plus, this is a minus 1. This formula says that if this n is 1, which is just this, that is, if the power is 1 here, the answer is 2 pi i. So this is 2 pi i. But the other one, if n is greater than 1, you can see n is 2 to infinity here. So it says the answer will be 0. So in that case, we are going to have 1 over 2 pi i f of z dz is equal to a minus 1. You can see this a minus 1 is our residue. This is our residue. When we integrated this Lorentz series term by term, we are left with this called residue. So we can also say, we can write it directly that f of z dz is equal to residue times 2 pi i, or 2 pi I times the residue. So we are coming to that. Let's take note of this. Now the question now is that this residue, how do we calculate it? If you are given a function of z, how do we calculate the residue? It will take us to what we call calculating the residue. It has led us to calculation of residue. Now we consider two cases. Case 1, let's consider residue at a simple pole. Residue at a simple pole, that simply means that if the function is of this format, let's assume that you have sine z over z minus z naught raised to power 1. This is a simple pole. If the power here is 1, the power under here is 1, that is simple pole. So in that case, we still recall from the Lorentz series expansion. The Lorentz series expansion is giving us. So this is Lorentz series. You will see that it's just the same thing as what we have here, this Lorentz series. But I don't want to consider this one. The reason why I don't want to consider it is because it's a simple pole. When I consider this, you can see what is under. N runs from 2. It is, if you start adding the second one, it's no more a simple pole. So I will stop at this place alone. So when I recall this, I've recalled this. From this place now, let's multiply both sides by this z minus z naught. This is z minus z naught, f of z, equal to, this one will give me an z minus z naught raised to power, this will be n plus 1. In this case, this one will not be there again, it will leave. It will remain only this. From this place, we take limit of z tends to z naught of both sides. You can see I have taken the limit now of z tends to z naught. That is, I put limit to both sides. So this one has no limit. It's just a number. So even if you put limit there, that is what you are still going to have. You will now observe that if you place z minus z naught here, if you put z to be z naught here, z naught minus z naught will be 0. So it will nullify the whole of this place. So what you are going to have left is 0 plus a minus 1. Therefore, residue at simple pole is given as limit of z tends to z naught, z minus z naught, f of z. So let's take note of this. So this is how to find the residue of a function at a simple pole. Now we'll now consider the second case, that is residue at pole of order n. Residue at pole of order n. We don't need to consider it is still the Lorentz series we are still going to make use of. So it's very, very important. This is our Lorentz series, and we don't need to even be including this one again because we are dealing with poles now. This one now, it has no pole at all. So whatever that we'll be doing there will be 0. As you can see that we have been getting 0 for this side. So we are only considering this side alone. So in that case, let's consider this left hand side alone. So we recall that our f of z is equal to a minus 1 over, or let's put it like this. Let's assume that it's coming plus plus up to a minus this, and so on and so forth. So we have recalled this. From this place now, let's multiply both sides by z minus z naught raised to power n, because we are dealing with pole of order n. This is f of z is equal to, so this will now become a this over z minus z naught. No, we are now multiplying both sides by n. So in that case, this should have been, let me cancel that, this should have been z minus z naught raised to power n, f of z is equal to, so this thing should have been a z minus z naught raised to power n minus 1. You know, we are multiplying both sides by z raised to power n, and there is denominator here which is raised to power 1. By the time it gets up, it will become minus 1. Similarly, the second one too will be z minus z naught raised to power minus 2, because this 2 is coming up and we are multiplying both sides by this, plus a3 z minus z naught raised to power n minus 3 plus infinity. Now, the best way to get rid of this is to multiply, is to differentiate. Let's differentiate. We differentiate with respect to z to n raised to power minus 1, because this is what we are looking for. It is this z. So if I differentiate up to n minus 1, then this will leave. It will remain this. So in that case, let's differentiate this. I'm putting differentiation to both sides. This will be a minus 1 z minus z naught. I'm putting differentiation to all of them. I want to differentiate all of them. A minus 2 z minus z naught m minus 2 plus infinity. Now, let's take note of this. Let's assume that I want to differentiate z cube in 3 places. I'm going to get 3 factorial like this. The first time I will get 3z squared. The second time I will get 3.2z. The third time I will get 3.2. If I differentiate z, I will have 1. You can see this is 3 factorial. Now, let's now assume that I want to differentiate z squared in 3 places. So if I want to differentiate z squared in 3 places, I will first differentiate, I will have 2z. If I differentiate once again, I will have 2. If I differentiate once more, I will have 0. So as you can see that all these m minus 2, they are less than m minus 3, also they are less than m minus 1. In that case, differentiating them will be 0 because I am differentiating up to m minus 1. And m minus 2, m minus 3, m minus 4, they are less than that. In that case, I'm going to have d, dz, dn, m minus 1, f of z is equal to a minus 1. If you consider this one, you are going to have n minus 1 factorial. Just like what we have when you differentiate it thrice and we are given z cube, we have 3 factorial. So definitely we are going to have n minus 1 factorial 2 here. The rest will be 0. And the analytical part 2 will be there, assuming we are differentiating it, but we are not interested. So what we now do is we take the limit. Limit as z tends to z naught. The n minus 1 over dz. I'm putting limit to both sides. But if I put limit, it doesn't affect all this. So what we are just going to have left is this. M minus 1 factorial. Now let us now make a minus 1 the same formula, which is what we are looking for. That will be 1 over m minus 1 factorial. Limit of z tends to z naught. So this is what we are going to have. So this is called residue for pole of other hand. So and that's our proof. So let me write them out for you so that you memorize the formula and you know how to prove the formula. I will take example. So this is it. Is if we have a simple pole, this is the residue. This is the formula for the residue. And if you have a pole of other hand, this is the formula for the residue. Now let us now take example. Let us now take example. We have example 1 here. Find the residue of this function at its poles. The first thing is we can write this this function f of z, this one, as this one now can be written as z plus 4i into z minus 4i. Then we have this one, z minus 3. If you expand this, we are going to have z squared plus 16. If you expand these two. Now in this place now, the singular points are, this one will give me minus 4i. This one will give me 4i. While this one will give me 3. So that means you have 3 singular points, all at simple pole. All of them at simple poles. So what do you mean by they are simple pole? Because of this power of 1 here. So in that case, the formula we are going to use is this. Now, the first one, at this singular point. So our first residue becomes z tends to z naught. These are z naught minus 4I. The formula is z minus z naught. Z minus, our z naught is minus 4i. That will now become plus 4i. Then exponent f of z. That is the formula. This is our f of z. Right? Z plus 4i. This is our f of z. From this place, the one you are taking the residue will take its leave. Then you transfer this one to this. Anywhere you see z, you put it as 4i. So this will now become exponential 3 into minus 4i. We are taking the limit now. Over minus 4i minus 4i into minus 4i minus 3. That is for this one. So the upper one will give me minus 12i divided by, this will give me 8i. This minus will cancel the whole thing. And we are going to have 3 plus 4i left. Now, let us expand. Normally, this one will give me exponential this over 8 into, if you expand this one, it will give you 3i. I times 4i will give me minus 4. Which we are going to have minus 12i over 8 into, this is minus 4 plus 3i. So, what do we do now? We rationalize. This is minus 12i. The simplification is left to you. Plus 3i. This is times minus 4. If you rationalize, that will be minus 4 minus 3i over minus 4 minus 3i. So, and this will give me minus, if I bring the minus out, we have minus into 4 plus 3i exponential minus 12i over, this is 8. If I expand this 2, it will give me 16 plus 9. That is 25. And this will become, so we are going to have this. Finally, we should have 4 minus 4 plus 3i over 200 into this one. We should take note that is same thing as cos 12 minus I sine 12. So we can expand and get our answer. So the final simplification is left to you. So I am done with this one. I will now do the same thing for this one because the question is at its poles. I'll consider this one too. So at z is equal to 4i now. So what we are going to have is limit of z tends to z naught. Our residue is z minus z naught. Our z naught is 4i. The function says, the formula says times f of z. So let's write the f of z. So from this place, this one will cancel this. So we are left with this. Our z naught is 4i. So anywhere we now see z, we put it as 4i. This is 3 into 4i over, this will be 4i plus 4i. This will be 4i minus 3. Now, this will give me exponential 12i over 8i into, this will give me 4i minus 3. If you expand with that I times 4i, that will be minus 4 because I square is a minus 1. Then minus I times this, we have 3i. So we can rationalize 2. How do we rationalize? We turn this one to plus 3i over minus 4 plus 3i. Now, this will give me minus 4 plus 3i exponential 12i over, so we have done this the other time. This will give me 200. So I am done with that. And finally, at z is equal to 3, at this. So this is the formula we are still using. So the formula is limit of z tends to 3, z minus z naught, that is z minus 3, then times f of z. So this is our f of z here. So you can see this is a given f of z, which I have used. From this place now, z minus 3 cancels each other. So we cannot put z to be 3. This is exponential 3 into 3 over, well, this is what we are going to have left, 3 squared plus 4. So this should be 1 over 13 exponential 9. So that is the residue at z is equal to 3. So let's take another example. So we have example 2 here. So solution. If you consider this, the singular point at z is equal to 1. You know, if you make z is a formula here, z is equal to 1. Here z is equal to minus 1. So this z is equal to 1 has a simple pole because of the power here. And the second one is z is equal to minus 1. That one has pole of order 3. So this one has pole of order 3. So let us first consider this. Now, since this one has a simple pole, this is a formula we use. Limit of z tends to z naught, z minus z naught, f of z. Now, at z is equal to 1, which is a simple pole, our a minus 1 will become z tends to z naught. Our z naught is 1. Z minus z naught times f of z. This is our f of z. We have written the f of z. So this will cancel this. So from that place, so we cannot put z. I've turned this thing to 2 because of the work. So this cancels this. We cannot substitute z to 1. This is exponential 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 1 all squared. So this is simply 3 divided by 4. So it's our answer. So we cannot consider this one at pole of order 2. Now we are considering this one at z naught is equal to minus 1. That is pole of order 2, or we call it double pole. Now we use this is the formula we use when we have a pole that is more than 1. So this is the formula we are going to use, so that our answer is z tends to, this will be minus 1 over n is pole of order 2. In that case, n is 1. So this is 2 minus 1 factorial. So 2 minus 1 is just 1. This is the z1. Z minus z naught. Our z naught is already minus 1 too. This place will become plus 1. Raised to power n. Our n is 2. Then times f of z. F of z is here. So let's put f of z. So this is our f of z. I'll put it there. From that place, this cancels this. 1 over 2 minus 1 factorial is just 1. So this one too is not useful. What we have left is z tends to minus 1 d dz 3 exponential z squared minus 1 over z minus 1. So this one leads to differentiation. So it leads to differentiation, which I expect you to have known. You use quotient rule. So when you differentiate, you should be able to have. So it gives me this. If you use quotient rule, so you should be able to get this. Now I cannot put z to be minus 1. So this will be a 3 exponential minus 1 squared minus 1 times, this is 2 into minus 1 squared minus 2 into minus 1 over minus 1 squared. And that will give me 9 over 4 if you simplify it. So it should give you 9 over 4. So that is our answer. So we have found the residue of this at its poles. So let's consider another example. We have example 3 here. Find the residue of this function at its poles. So solution. The first thing is this f of z can be written as, this is exponential z cosec square z. We know cosec is reciprocal of sine. So which means I can write it as exponential z over sine squared z. Now, how do we get the singularity? We get singularity by making this thing to be equal to 0. This sine z, we get it. So sine z is equal to 0. That's how to get singularity. Normally, if it is something of this nature too, we normally say z plus 1 is equal to 0, z is equal to minus 1. So similarly, we can do that for this to get our singularity here. So from that place, z will be arc sine 0. And arc sine 0 will give me 0. That is what can sine gives 0. Sine 0 will give 0. In fact, sine pi will give 0. Sine 2 pi will give 0. In fact, put plus or minus there, they will give 0. So we can generalize it and say that sine n pi, or let's say plus or minus n pi, n runs from 0 to infinity, will give me 0. So all these are the singular point, but at double poles because of square that we have here. So in that case, we are going to write the formula. The formula is, so this is the formula. Now, this is our z naught. So our n is 2. The power is 2. So we have 1 over 2 minus 1 factorial. Limit of z tends to z naught. These are z naught here. N pi. The n minus 1. Since our n is 2, n minus 1 is just 1. So we can say the z minus z naught. Our z naught is n pi raised to power n. So, but our n is 2 times f of z. So this is our f of z here, exponential z over sine square z. Now we are left with this. So we are going to have this now. This will be 1 over, this one is gone, we don't need to say that. So we have limit of z tends to n pi d dz into this. There's something I want to explain here. If you differentiate, and at the end of the day, you know we are still going to put n pi. So anything having this one without integration, because if I use product 2, this is it. If I use product 2, I'll take this, I'll differentiate this. It will give me anything. I don't want to care. But by the time I substitute this value there, it will leave. So by the time I substitute this value there, it will leave. So the rest now is that I only need to differentiate this. That is that. So in that case, I don't need this again. I'll just differentiate this. This is 2 into z minus n pi. Then exponential z over sine square z. Once again, let me explain. I want to differentiate this. But later, after differentiation, I will put this n pi there. If I put n pi, this side will be 0. Because if I take differentiation, product 2, you know for product 2 is u dv. I will first take this before I differentiate this. Let's assume that if I take this, I will differentiate this. It will give me something. Let me keep it. But at the end of the day, if I substitute this value to be n pi minus n pi is 0. So it is gone. So this is what we are going to have left. So we only need to differentiate this. That is all. So that is the best way to do it. Now we are left with this. We cannot integrate. We cannot differentiate. But, we cannot take the limit. If I take the limit, I put z to be n pi here. n pi minus n pi is 0. If you put n pi here too, is 0. In that case, you have to make use of L'Hospital rule. We use L'Hospital rule there. So when we use L'Hospital rule, you differentiate this separately. You differentiate this separately. So that if I differentiate this separately, I'm going to have 2. If you take this, you differentiate this, it will still be the same thing. Plus, you take this now, you differentiate this. If you differentiate this, it will give you 2 over. Now it is left with this. This is 2 sine z cos z when we differentiate this. Now, if you substitute m pi here, is 0. That is, okay, let me write it out. This is 2 into z minus m pi exponential z plus 2 exponential z over, this is the same thing as sine 2z. Sine 2z. You know that 2 sine z cos z is the same thing as sine 2z. So in that case, when we still substitute m pi here, this will be 0. So it is still giving me infinity. So what we do is that we still apply L'Hospital rule. When we apply L'Hospital rule there, we have m pi. So I will still differentiate this. That is 2 z minus m pi exponential this plus, it will give us the same thing, 4 exponential z over, when we differentiate this, it will give me 2 cos 2z. So from this place now, if I put z to be m pi, this will leave because m pi minus m pi is gone. What we have left is 4n pi over 2 cos 2m pi. But cos 2m pi is 1 already. So what we are going to have, is 4m pi over 2 cos 2m pi is 1. So finally our answer is 2m pi is our answer for all n runs from 0 to infinity. So that is the residue of this function at all its poles. So that's our answer. You can take this as example, as assignment. Find the residue of all this. Find the residue. This one, the best way to use is to use Lorentz series to find the residue. So we'll meet in our next video for residues theorem. So let's meet in our next video for residues theorem. Have a good day.